All right, let's paint. So, the day before, today, the day that it's not today, but not tomorrow, but yesterday, I did a video ranting about all of the stuff that's going on with AI and Studio Ghibli. Haven't read the comments. I normally read all the comments. I like to, and there actually isn't any reason why I shouldn't. This is a weekend, and I just decided not to. So I might have a lot of homework for myself tomorrow, which is Sunday, to just kind of go through and read a lot of them, kind of just get in the headspace. I'm not necessarily frightened because it's a lot more than normal. It's like a 60 plus comments. And I'm like, what the? Um, but yeah, it's just like the weekend I was taking my kids out, so I'm like, I'll just get to that later. But but what it made me think about, and I saw like this meme too the other day, in lieu of what's been going on. Memes, man, memes are tight. Some of the best parts of the internet, if you ask me. Kind of like alluded to why people take something that appears like the easy route. Like I think one of the complaints I was making in the rant was just like, bro, if everybody can just type a sentence and make whatever, like it's like a race to the bottom, and then nothing becomes impressive, you know, other than the things that are impressive, truly impressive. But what that kind of made me realize is that a lot of people tend to take these routes because and this is not me making a blanket statement to every single person who may use like what you call AI tools, but this is just a reflection of just the challenge of art, which is rejection, which is failure, which is sucking at said thing. This is like true for all of us, right? Like whoops, we all don't like to suck at stuff. And I had a whole video talking about like it's okay. Being bad at things is quite normal. But what was interesting to me is just thinking about more of like what it means to be rejected and how to take it on the chin, like how to think about it. And here's my advice, generally speaking. I think rejection isn't inherently a bad thing, right? But it hurts every time that it happens. Rejection isn't inherently a reflection of your inability. There's a lots of auxiliary reasons why people would not want to bring you on board or work with you or whatever the circumstances were. There's a lot of circumstances that rejection just makes perfect sense. And there's other instances where it makes no sense. And I think whenever people encounter rejection one way or another, it really gets to them. I had a story, or I have a story about a student of mine who wanted to go to an event called THU. It's a really big and popular event. And at the event, sorry, I was just reconsidering what I'm drawing here. At the event, oh yeah, that's cool. I like that. At the event, wait, let me back up. I'm sorry, I got cut up in this horn. So before the event, I'm like, I'm losing my mind these days, dude. Got too much things floating in there. I need to get all out. So before the event, they had like a contest, right? And the contest allowed like access to some VIP sessions and hang out with industry professionals. It's a lot of value. I think even getting you a ticket of entry, which is huge, like flights and all. It was pretty cool sweepstakes or contest. Anyway, he competes. He puts his stuff out there, and ultimately doesn't make it. Like I think there's rounds. I don't remember, but like I don't think he even made it to like the first round. And he messages me and he is livid. He's like, I'm gonna like cancel my flight. I'm not gonna go. Like I'm just gonna stay home. Like I don't think art's for me. Like he went all in, man. I was like, whoa, take it easy, and I was like, why are you so flustered, And he felt like he put a lot of effort into his painting, and that he should have been given some, at least some access to like the next, some validation of his abilities. And honestly, like the competition was fierce, right? Like it had like lots of people competing, including I think industry professionals were up in that. Like not everybody can afford to fly to where was it at? I keep thinking, oh no, Portugal. Portugal was it? I was thinking Poland. I was like, that's not right. Portugal. And I was like, yeah, listen, man. Like, I don't know if I would have even passed the first round, to be fair. But I used his career as part of as a tool to kind of get him to snap out of it, because what he does for his day job, um, he was like a scientist, right? He's doing some serious stuff. Like I was like, dang, dude, he's doing some serious stuff. But he just wants to be an artist. And I was like, when you do your science stuff, you have a hypothesis, you create a test, right? Or an experiment, and it proves your hypothesis wrong. It basically rejects your hypothesis. Do you quit science? Is that how you practice your sciences, Which I know the answer is no, right? And he knew that too. And he's like, no, but like, it's like, I don't remember exactly verbatim what he was getting at. I'm paraphrasing. But he just kind of went on and was like, but, like I don't even know if it's worth even going. Like, clearly I'm not good enough, and this and that and that and this. Like, I really wanted to meet with some of these people so I can get a portfolio review. And I was like, yeah, I mean, trust me, going to events like this, if you are proactive, you will be shocked on what could happen. So I convinced him to go. I think the next day he actually kind of just snapped out of it. He's like, yeah, what was I thinking? Like, of course, like, I'm not owed anything. That's the whole point of a contest, you know? And again, it's relatively subjective. It's really hard to win these types of contests, to be fair. Um, so he goes to the event, and after he comes back, he messages me. He's like, I am so fucking happy I went. It was one of the most inspiring and life-changing moments in my entire artistic career. And I was like, whoa, that's crazy. What happened? He's like, he'll tell me, it's like, I mean, obviously networking and talking with people and seeing workshops and all of these great things. But the very thing that really upset him, because he wanted to talk with some of the artists that were going to be part of those VIP rooms, right? Like the whole thing with the contest. Like, to him, one of his favorite illustrators was going to be doing being part of that, like those VIP stuff. And he felt that because he lost, he wouldn't be able to have access to this person. And wouldn't you know it, this person just like sat right next to him at the event. And he's like, holy shit. And he just started talking to him. And the guy started talking to him back. And they just started having conversations, and they hit it off, and they became kind of buds. And the artist reviewed his portfolio. He didn't have to win a contest at all. All he had to do was show up. And he had a much more positive reaction to his rejection now. He realizes that every step you take forward is still a step forward, right? Just because a door closes in front of you doesn't mean that you haven't moved in a direction of some sort. And that meant a lot to him. And I like to tell that story because it's a wonderful story. And to me, and again, I'm probably paraphrasing some of this just to make it a much more fascinating tale to tale. You know what I mean? But there's a lot of truth there. And if he's listening, he'd be like, yeah. There's some flourishes, but this is the gist of it. And I personally have dealt with all sorts of rejections. Man, I have been rejected countless amounts of times. I have been rejected even at my stature today. I have been turned down on many opportunities, even to this day. It is not all sunshine and rainbows. I don't just get whatever opportunity, just because. Like, I still, like many of you, make a name for myself, put myself out there to allow for more opportunity. And I encourage you guys to truly understand that I don't know when any individual person that listens to this will get that perfect and awesome shot in the business. I don't know. I generally do not know when. But I do know that there are far more opportunities than people realize. And I have been in rooms trying to hire people, rejecting people myself due to opportunities that I have the ability to give, realizing that there's just not as much awesome artists as people might like to believe, And I think what ends up happening as well is that people tend to find, well, let me stop. Let me rephrase this. People love to hear good news about their bad habits. And in this instance, it's less of good news, but it's evidence that life sucks when they see that industries and companies are on the downflow. They're having hiring freezes. They are not staffing up as much as they may have in the past. Companies are shutting down. Entire teams are being laid off. Again, it's hard for me to call this good news. But what I think this does is, if you already had a mentality of defeat and loss and rejection, this validates it, right? And what I'm trying to tell you guys is that even during the pandemic, even during the height of all of this weird stuff that we had to deal with, and I'm going to knock on wood here, I have been consistently offered opportunities, big and small, that this entire time. I have been laid off at companies. I have been part of companies that have shut down. In fact, I think in the last 5 years, I was at 3 studios who just straight up shut down. And I don't think it's the last. I'm sure there's going to be more studios that I might work for that will just basically close the doors. But I get these opportunities. I keep getting these chances to prove myself. And just recently, I've had several studios, much bigger and much larger companies, starting to reach out to me for bigger and better projects. Something that's a little bit more stable than like my normal contracting, like day-to-day work that I've been doing. And there is no guarantee. I may very well still be rejected. And I am absolutely prepared for that. But what I am not prepared to do is put up the gloves and say that this is all a sham. With the AI stuff, what really bothers me, and I see a lot of arguments online, and one of the spirits of what I was saying, or one of the biggest pieces of what I was saying yesterday, like, my grievances is not inherently targeted to AI alone. It is a direct connection to kind of how I feel about lots of things. I think that's why it feels very targeted, but in reality, it's broader than this. Um, I just feel that social media and our technologies and all of the stuff that, like, I would have these discussions where people be like, we're like, innovation's awesome because we have smartphones, you know, as kind of like a gotcha. Like wouldn't you, like, how would you feel if we didn't have smartphones, kind of thing? Or like, look at like the TV or internet or whatever the hell you want to, kind of like, whatever technology, AI, whatever. But I always think back at a couple moments in my life. I remember living in this small town called Barstow, California. And we would essentially get ice blocks and ride them down grass hills because it was freaking the high desert and melting the asphalt. Dude, one time, bro, it was crazy. One time, like a diesel truck, like a one of those, cargo trucks. I don't know what they're called. What the hell? Yeah, you guys know what I'm talking about. Like, it was at a red light on like one of the hottest days, like 116 degrees or some shit like that, Fahrenheit, and the tires just started melting on the asphalt, and they like exploded. It was crazy. It's so hot. So yeah, we would ride ice blocks down grassy hills. I remember the first time I learned how to ride a bike. I was hanging out at some kid's house, and she was like, "Hey, let's ride my bike." I was like, "Oh, I don't know how to ride a bike." She said, "I'll teach you." She put me on the bike and she pushed me down again another grassy hill, and I was flying down, and I was like, "Oh my god!" And I learned how to ride a bike real quick. And like, there's moments like this that I think about. I remember my wife when smartphones used to be, or smartphones were becoming a thing. She was like, "Hey, you should um, get one of these smartphones. They're pretty cool." And I had one of those like flip phones that had a keyboard attached to it. And I was like, I'm all right. I think this will be okay. I still, like, I could see in my mind's eye what that phone looked like. It was a blue phone, had a keyboard. It was like a brick of a phone. And I love that little thing. And so when I think about like these arguments, like, aren't you happier we have these things now? Part of me is like, I don't know. In a universe where maybe we didn't have social media, in a universe where we didn't um, have the internet, in a universe where we didn't have a lot of what we have today, which I am actually genuinely grateful for. I think a lot of the things are pretty awesome. But I don't remember not feeling happy without, or like, I don't remember not feeling happy without them. Like, I don't remember being like, I wish things were better when I was growing up in the early to late 90s as a kid. And even as adult, like in my early 20s, I remember just having incredible house parties. I remember we had this super crazy epic house party at at Irvine. We were living in Irvine at the time, and they were just super loud, obviously, and they were crazy. And it was like in a residential suburban area, and people complained all the time. And I remember one time somebody complained, and they knocked on the door. So I'm like, I'm a pretty good diplomat. I was like, I got it, guys. Let me go. Let me check it out and talk to folks. I open the door. It's like a 10 or 12-year-old girl. It's like 11 p.m. and she's like, "Hey, do you guys mind um, turning on the music because I have a concert tomorrow, and me and my family can't sleep." I'm just like thinking, dang, what a flex, parents, to send the kid, but it worked. I was like, all right, party's done. We're shutting down. This little girl's got a concert tomorrow, like a violinist concert, which I know is true because I remember during the day I would hear her practicing. So I was like, oh, that's that little girl that's like freaking killing it. I just remember stuff like that. I don't remember the internet being a big part of that. You know what I mean? Like as much as we love it and like to talk about it, part of me is also like, I don't know if our species is actually still prepared. You know, when I make this complaint about AI, like I said, it's this kind of larger complaint about like we're still trying to figure out the last paradigm shift that we just had. You know what I mean? Like we're still trying to figure out what the hell this is and what's good about it and what's terrible about it. Like how it's killing us and how it's saving us. You know? And so to me, yeah, just a lot of this stuff keeps happening. Like a lot of these crazy moments and these, it seems like, especially nowadays, everything is a historical moment. It's unprecedented. It's like the word of the day every day for the last 10 years, it seems like. And what I'm ultimately getting at, I know the theme is rejection, is that I'm still finding ways to make myself matter, not only towards like, you know, obviously my career path and having sustainable income. I have to. I got a family to take care of and look after, but also for myself. I love concept art. I love creating art. I love teaching people how to create art. I love it. And I think the teaching part is good. I just don't know if something like AI can properly replace mentorships because there's something about that human connection that is obviously of value. So that might not be going anywhere, and this is probably why I think YouTube's algorithms are favoring authenticity over anything else, exclusively YouTube. I don't know about the other platforms, but more long form content is just doing better, and more authentic content is just doing great. You know, when I used to listen to a lot of podcasters, I don't listen to them as much anymore, which is a shame because I do like a lot of them. But it just seems like all they do now is complain about something. There's something to complain about. Like everything's awful, and I'm like looking at these motherfuckers and I'm like, bro, you guys are all millionaires. What are you talking about? People out here can't buy eggs, you know. So it's just like it's just not relatable. So I don't really listen to it. It doesn't feel as authentic as it once was, right? But there are YouTubers that I follow and I watch. Like there's like this one YouTuber, like all he does is like talks about the latest sci-fi book that he read for like half an hour, and like he's just like he just sits there and just talks about it. I'm just like, damn tight. It's just it feels cool. It feels like I'm like bros. It's like just catching me up, and it's like, oh, bro, let me tell you about this book I found online. I'm like, oh shit, that's tight. You know, like the three body problem. I remember hearing about that book like 5 or 6 years ago from this guy's YouTube. Like he was talking about it, like this book is crazy. Like the premise is insane. And I was like, damn, that would make an epic TV show or movie. And sure enough, it became a TV show. People agreed. But it was like cool just listening him talk about it. I was like, damn, that's tight. And so I think stuff like that does really well. So, you know, finding that value in myself as like an educator, I think that's been here and probably won't go anywhere soon. I just can't imagine how it will, at least for now. Maybe it will. I don't know. But then, like, what does it mean to do what I do? Concept art, by its very nature, is pretty elusive. You know, like it's trying to interpret what is in people's mind, and as of now, it's still incredibly valuable skill, regardless. Oh no, I hear my baby crying. I need to like probably have to deal with this. Hold on, give me 1 second. All right. Sorry, I had to step away doing dad duties. Um, so yeah, finding what it means to have value for myself as artistically, right? That like not only will have value for me in terms of like I said, monetary income, obviously, but also just like I love doing this stuff, but it keeps feeling like the people um, that you know hire our work and want to kind of create these awesome products. It seems like the kinds of people that do appreciate this and do care for this, I feel like we ought to just branch off and start to become our own voices more and more. I think going back to authenticity, it feels to me that that's like the genuine next step is for people to be genuine to themselves and to their craft and find some way to make their art truly theirs and only theirs. And that when people want to, engage in that, they go to you, not like a studio that happens to hire you to work on that game or movie that's similar to what you're doing, but more because you are an interesting vector in this space and that you provide something of true interest. I look at YouTube as still one of my favorite places online because of this. There's just so many people I follow that are just genuinely like I feel like if I would meet them in real life, it's just good times. You know? Edited or non-edited content. Like there are people that have no real editing to their videos. They are just talking to the camera, but because of the things that they say and how they say them, they have a lot of intrigue and um, insight that only really comes from them. Some people have highly edited videos that are like on par with like proper productions, which is incredible as well. And it just seems to me like more of that's going to be truly the value that you'll see online. And I'm realizing that more and more. And, especially me starting to do this YouTube stuff, I'm like, oh man, honestly, this is fun. This is enjoyable to me. Just sit and chat with people. I'm working on my own projects and I'm excited to kind of like put them out there as I start to build them out. Because at the end of the day, I am not a quote unquote content creator. I don't want to just make videos for the sake of making videos to bring again my value and my self worth. I want like to make things that are really cool and people invest their time and efforts into them as part of what I bring to the table. And just YouTube is just my way of just talking with people that admire that, you know? You know what I mean? Like I genuinely love making cool stuff. That's why I do it. And I realize that as I do more and more YouTube, there's absolutely a lot of incentive to have this grow and blossom for as a career. But one of the things I truly value as an educator that I provide to a lot of the people who take my like my mentorships and my tutorials, what I truly value is that I do the things that people want to do. Like not everybody wants to be a YouTuber. Some people want to be a concept artist. So what does that look like? Well, I could tell you because I still do it to this day. Some people have been asking me about what it's like to do art direction. And I'm like, sure, let's talk about that. And I actually had some ideas about like coming at it from the perspective of why I think some art directors hire certain types of people versus others. Like just my opinions, but also my professional insight and what I think you guys can take from. But essentially what I'm getting at is, sure, let me give you some help on how art direction works, because many of you guys may become pseudo art directors for your own projects or for your small teams that you just happen to put together at your school or in your friend group. And these pieces of advice could kind of give you that insight of experience that you just couldn't get any other way unless you get the experience, right? Sure, let's do it. Let's talk about it. Right? I don't know if that needs to be a tutorial. That feels such a niche audience. And I'd rather people pay for something that genuinely feels a little bit more like, okay, I'm generally going to get something out of this. I'm learning something. It feels like a much fairer transaction, where I think just teaching you what art direction's like in a tutorial feels bizarre. But teaching you how to like use brushes or paint or create a portfolio, that seems a little bit more worth investing my time in making it an actual product that can help me support the stuff I do. That feels fair. That feels like a fair transaction. But yeah, I don't want to teach how to do that and never have done it. You know what I mean? I don't want to make the false assumption here either, because I've seen some critical YouTube where they talk kind of like there are YouTubers on here that have never really worked professionally and are giving out professional advice. Like I don't fall in that wagon. That I don't believe that one has to work somewhere to give out important, inspiring information. I think it's just they lack context. That's typically the problem there, right? But just because they don't have the context doesn't mean they can't still teach you how to draw hands. You feel me? And there are lots of professional artists who are teaching that might have a much more rigid approach that can accidentally lead students and new artists down a path that might not work for them. You know, everybody has their own method. Not everybody can paint or draw like XYZ artists, or wants to paint or draw like XYZ artists. So there's even a bit of a catch there, you know? So even if a person is a professional, it doesn't mean that they are capable of giving the perfect advice to every single person that they got their ear. So anyway, yeah, so for me, like, I'm trying to find what that voice is for myself in this new stage in my career, my life. I'm like, you know, I really do want to just make my own stuff, and I want that to be successful. I want to be able to make. I've tried a few times, and honestly, I think it's time for me to kind of just really buckle down and start to do it more and more. And I already am with my buddy, and that's been going really great. And I'm excited for future projects that we're going to put together. But long story short, I am very excited with, you know, what this future can bring. And I know it will bring rejection. Rejection is mandatory. Now, I don't know what kind or how often, but it will come. And I think a lot of folks are, you know, afraid of this type of stuff, but I'm telling you, it's part of the deal. And I'm looking forward to it, even for myself. It's going to be a bunch of heartache, but it's just how it is, right? And with that said, hope you guys enjoyed today's video. I got it out before the day is over. Yeah, I do better if I do it in the morning, but my morning was stacked. And tomorrow morning is going to also be stacked, I can tell you. So we'll see if I can get it out in the morning, but I doubt it. Anyway, hope to talk to you guys soon. Cheers, and have a good rest of your weekend, or weekday, or week, whatever time you're watching this video. Enjoy whatever moment you're in at this very moment. Peace.